Welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to show a just normal OS or RAML. So what are the best practices, and in enterprise standard how can we write a simple RAML. So without wasting much time we can show the simple RAML. So each and every RAML or OS, so this is written on Open API standards. It is 0.3.0.3. So each and every OS contain these many fields. One is info. So info contain the person, title, description, related things. Okay, so here I have just written license and in national rural banking like that. And server containing all the internal URL for the dev, test, UAT, and then live. So live means prod. So like that. So this is, you need to make sure these are the internal URL. These cannot be accessed outside of the Cloudflare. And the tags. So tag means what are the operations we are creating. So here we have created a health check operations. And now paths. So this path containing what are the endpoint that we are exposing here. You need to keep in mind that like for each and every OS should be having one health check URL. So that is the system health check. Another is that the main API. So that for the main API there are different methods. So the way that the best practices is like the main API endpoint name will be the same, but the methods are different. So here we can see for a particular banking operations, we have post method in the same endpoint, get method, and we also have another method which is basically a patch method if you want to update any transaction. So post basically creating a transaction. I can show you, yeah, and get is for getting one transaction details, and patch means for updating any particular transaction. So here you need to keep in mind that why I am not using any put, because if I use put then you have to send the entire request in the parameter, but here whatever the amount data you just want to update, that is only required. So that is the difference between patch and put. So always patch is recommended. And now we have the component section here. So component all so every data type and every request, just a basic thumb rule, will be taken care by a object here. So that is the best practices that we can follow. So every component, for the sake of understanding right now, you just keep it in mind. Every component containing these things, four things: parameter, schema, responses, and examples. Now let me quickly copying this particular statement things and just putting it here in the Swagger editor. So once I put it in the, I already have put it in the Swagger editor. You can see it is showing the server URL for different environment, health check. Now let me explain the health check here. For the health check, you just click on that. So you can see for the health check what the parameter I am sending, that is X trace ID, right? So this is the trace ID for a particular parameter. Just like as a parameter we need to send, and you can see these are the responses for a particular health check. So if you see that Swagger here, so basically let's say for system health check you can see side by side. So this is the parameter and the responses are mentioned in a separate status code, HTTP status code 200 400 401 45 415 200 500. And for each of the status code I have a separate system object that is written, so it is mentioned in the response section. Same way for the error response as well. So the idea is like, let's say if I go to the check response section, copy here and paste. You see I have gone here, it is in the response section. It contains the basically it contains the schema related information, what type of object, what are the data type of it, this per response data type of it, and also at the end we have a example section. In the example section we can see component example, then system health check example. That is actually basically it will be kind of an example, and that is available inside the example section. So that's how we can be able to understood how data type and the example that link together here. So similar way we can see that here. So there are different status code and the example data 200 400, and you see this all the error structure, this type title status detail instance. Let me show you one of the error structure that I have created here, 400 response you can see. So every response should be adhered to this error response format, every response. And for example, in the example section, for each response it is separately mentioned, you can see. And you see the structure type title status detail instance trace id. So this is called the RFC 7807 standard. So this is a widely enterprise acceptable standard for any error message. You can use it in your project as well. So this is the idea behind it, that all the error message should have to follow the same error structure and error response structure, and it has to be RSS 7807 compliant. So that's how it is there. You can see 40 400 404 405. So let me explain is that status code. So like 400 means it's a bad request, 401 means unauthorized, 404 means not found. If the endpoint is not found, then 405 means method not allowed, unsupported media, 219 and 500 internal server error. Okay, the same decorum is mentioned here everywhere, whether in create transaction section. You can see this is the structure for the create transaction. You can have a try also here. You can, if you send the data like that way, execute, and you can see this is the response structure that I am retrieving from the Swagger. Okay, so this is how the RAML or the OAS specification can be built. Okay, I have mentioned this detailed this OAS in my blog. If you are interested, it will be helpful. And for a patch, you can, as I mentioned, right, for a patch, just whatever the data you want to update, so that is required. So here you can see only amount is needed to be updated. So that's why patch is always recommended. And in the schema section, you can see all the data type as mentioned as object. Okay, just like amount is mentioned. Basically we are mentioning minimum this and maximum this. The client id is maximum length is here. So all the pattern and everything has to be mentioned here. And the currency, we have used a kind of enum. You can see it can be supported currencies as CAD, USD and INR. And this is the success response format. So each response containing having the status, and then the data type transaction ID and message. And for the error response, as I mentioned, this is RFC 7807 standard. So yeah, so that's kind of a simple OS, yet it's an enterprise acceptable OS. If you can use it in your project, let me know. Thank you. Bye.